Hey guys, my name is Ashley Mateus and I am currently enrolled in Education 590 Issues in Teaching at the University of Laverne. And today I will be discussing my SWOT analysis of Northlake Hills Elementary School. Now, Northlake Hills Elementary School is a little special to me because it is not my original, but it was one of the elementary schools I attended. And also, it is the elementary school that I did my 5-week student teaching at in the spring semester. So, although a lot of this information has been gathered online, especially the statistics, a good portion of the material is based on my observations and my discussions with my master teacher and her colleagues. So what is a SWOT analysis? A SWOT analysis is a relatively in-depth look at internal factors and external factors that affect the everyday functioning of the school. So internal factors of a school would include strengths and weaknesses, things that the school can control. And then external factors are things like opportunities and threats that the school can't necessarily always control. So some of the strengths for the school include their academic achievement and their English learner programs. So students regularly receive higher standardized test scores than the state average at Northlake Hills Elementary School. So if you look to the diagram on the left, it says that English language arts students at Northlake Hills Elementary typically score above 29 points above the standard. And this standard is being compared against the state of California. And then in mathematics, those students typically score above 14.1 points above the standard, again, against other students in California. And that's actually gone up 3.2 points in recent years. And then also for their English learner programs, they have multilingual teachers, they have dedicated ELD instruction for all grade levels, and a high percentage of EL students are making progress toward English proficiency, and according to that chart, it is 60% are making that progress, which if you look at the chart there, it says that 60% is considered a high percentage of students making positive progress toward proficiency. And this is one thing I also witnessed during my student teaching at the school, because even during the COVID pandemic and even over the Zoom classes and distance learning, a lot of the teachers were still creating time for individual ELD instruction. They were making it a routine part of their day where they would send the other students off to work on other assignments independently, and the ELD students would still stay for that instruction. So even amid all the chaos of the pandemic, they were still receiving that specialized instruction. Other strengths are their school leadership committees. I was able to sit in on one of those with my master teacher, and even though the school is ranked high academically, they still are trying to find ways so that the students who aren't performing as well as the others, that they can benefit, and they're trying to help them reach that same level of success as their peers. There is also a lot of teacher collaboration within grade levels, so the teachers work in teams to help create a unified curriculum in the grade levels. And then their technology and resources are current and up to date throughout the classrooms. They have smart boards, they have Zoom technology, the students can use Chromebooks. They also encourage the use of technology integrated lessons, again, especially with distance learning. And then the school distributed Wi-Fi hotspots and Chromebooks during the pandemic so all students could have access to distance learning. Also, another strength of the school is its communication with the parents. The school uses an app called Parent Square that gives parents alerts about the school, what's going on with the school. If there's ever an emergency, the parents would know about it right away. Also, during the pandemic, parents would have to go on every morning and go through a symptom checklist and say, that their children are well, that they haven't displayed any COVID symptoms. So it also acts a little bit as a safety and kind of health check there too. So that is actually a really neat form of communication between the administration and the parents. Some more strengths are that there is a school-wide behavior reward system that the students really seem to respond to. It's a ticket system where if a teacher sees a student going out of their way, going an extra mile, really working hard on something or being kind to someone, they get a ticket. And every month, all of these tickets are collected from all of the classrooms, and the principal uses them in a school-wide raffle. And then the students win prizes, and the students seem to get really excited about this. So it seems to work really well. The students seem to really try to earn those tickets by participating in class and trying really hard. They have reasonable class sizes, usually between somewhere like 23 to 26 students. So not a horribly large classes. And then there's also declining suspension rates. So suspension rates have actually gone down from 1.2% of students being suspended in a year in 2018 down to 0.5% of students being suspended in a year in 2019. So that number had actually been cut in half just between 2018 and 2019. Now, there is no data available yet with the last, the COVID years, so it would be interesting to see if that's changed at all. However, prior to the pandemic, those rates were dropping. And then for awards, Northlake Hills Elementary School has received a California Distinguished School Award, a Gold Ribbon School Award, and a National Forum School to Watch Award. It is also important to note that the middle school that Northlake Hills feeds into, Castaic Middle School, has been consistently ranked as a California Distinguished School for at least the last 6 years. So Northlake is a very awarded school, and the school it feeds into is as well. Now, despite all of the school's strengths, there are some weaknesses. For instance, this year they are undergoing a change of principal. So the school may have, they might have to adjust to new leadership. There might be some changes in the school. So that could be a weakness in the upcoming school year. They also have a problem with chronic absenteeism. And typically it's, according to the statistics, the socioeconomically challenged students and those with special needs were found to be more often chronically absent than students in other demographic groups. And this absenteeism was on the rise even before the pandemic. Again, no information on the last school year. So this is something that the school really needs to address and really target those two groups of students, the socioeconomically challenged and the special needs students, to see how they can help them continue coming to school regularly. And then there's inconsistent implementation of a science curriculum. They had implemented a new science curriculum about 2 years prior to making this video, and according to my master teacher, some teachers were almost wholly ignoring the science and engineering standards to focus on math and English language instruction. And this had basically, they had adapted a science curriculum and then COVID happened. So they just started ignoring it altogether, focused on what they thought were important, which was math and English. And there were some students who learned almost no science or engineering last year. So this is something that really needs to be consistent across all of the classrooms. Opportunities. So some of the opportunities for the school are its inter-district cooperation and district level resources. So the 3 schools, the 3 elementary schools within the district, do have good communication. And in fact, online classrooms comprised of students from multiple schools were created to give families fully virtual options during the COVID-19 pandemic. So for instance, the 5th grade classroom I worked on was a Northlake Hills Elementary School classroom. However, half of the students were actually from Castaic Elementary School, because combining 2 classes from 2 different schools allowed us to have enough students to give parents the opportunity to have their students remain fully online. And then there's also district level resources. So there are speech therapists and ELD and special needs specialists that they're a little bit flexible. They can kind of go in between those 3 different elementary schools and help out where help is needed. Opportunities. So grant money is one of the big opportunities for the school, as they are a Title I school and receive more money from the government than if they were not. Castaic Union School District earned over $1 million just in grant money in the 2018 to 2019 school year. They also receive some support from the local businesses and organizations. Castaic is a relatively small community, so the community is a little bit more tight-knit. So businesses such as Starbucks, Salt Creek Grill, and Corner Bakery donate money and support the school district, usually through fundraisers. And then also the sheriff's department comes in occasionally and talks to the students about traffic safety and other laws. Now for the threats facing Northlake Hills. Declining enrollment is the big one. Now, Northlake Hills Elementary School used to be K through 5 when the school opened up. However, in recent years, it's had to be turned into a K through 6 school because of declining enrollment. They had seen such a decline in enrollment in the last few years that they had to add on another grade just to keep the amount of students up. So there's a few reasons why there might be declining enrollment. Partially because there aren't a lot of new families coming to the district. So especially families who have children who are between like ages 5 and 11. There's just not a lot. The house prices, it's more of a middle class neighborhood. Young parents can't always afford to live here. And that kind of goes in hand with the next point, which is that there is a weak local economy. For years, some of the local strip malls, every other business in them will be shut down. There's vacancies. It's just not a thriving economy. And I think this is partially why no young families are really moving to the area. And so I think that weak local economy is contributing to declining enrollment. There's also some socioeconomic status discrepancies because it is a middle class area. You have some students who have access to tutors. They have access to, different materials, extra materials. A lot of them have just one working parent. But there are some areas of Castaic that are more affluent. However, there are also a large portion of students who live up a little ways, who their family are more farm workers, where the places where they live, they don't have access to internet. They live with multiple families. So there is some socioeconomic disparities amongst the school population. And then there's also minimal diversity at the school. So compared to LA Unified School District, Northlake has actually quite significant less ethnic diversity. So while Hispanic students make up almost half of the student body, other ethnicities are greatly underrepresented. According to statistics, pretty much half the students are Hispanic descent and the other half are mostly Caucasian. There are very few African American students, very few Asian, almost no Pacific Islander students. There's just very few. So they don't have that diversity that some of the other bigger districts have, or the ones that are closer to the city. So my recommendations to Northlake Hills for improvement are to implement an attendance reward system. So it already has a ticket reward system, so I think that they should either adapt that or change it a little bit, or they should adopt a whole new reward system to entice students to come to class more often, to reward them for their attendance. And then also, I just think that teachers need to be more consistent in their implementation of the science curriculum. Every student should have the right to learn about science and engineering. And so even though math and English are important, time of the day does need to be set aside for science and engineering. So that is my presentation, and here are the resources if you want to go look up more about the school yourself. So thank you, and have a nice day.